You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello everyone, thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Welcome back everyone. It's me and Kirk this week. So exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because it's just you and me, Kirk, I brought what I think is a doozy. I think it's a doozy. It's definitely weird. So I don't know about you, Kirk, but I love having friends who just get me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important part of friendship. Having someone who gets you, especially if you're a weirdo.
Oh, yeah. And I bring it up because one of my friends sent me this article to me
All right. Yeah.
the day that it came out, that it was published, with the knowledge that I needed to know. And this is extra exciting because this happened, as of our recording, this happened in the last week or so. The articles were all published.
Right.
Breaking news as of August 11th is when the news broke. So very recent, which is very exciting for us. So, this week, we're going to the ocean!
Oh my gosh, Rachel. I am shocked. Shocked that you would go to the ocean for your topic area. People, I mean, everyone just lost massive bets they had placed in Vegas. Like, you really broke the mold today.
I truly did.
What do you got for us?
So, today we're going to go to the Southern Ocean around Antarctica, which is very exciting. Yeah. So the articles that I'm referring to are in reference to a new species that has been discovered in the depths of the Arctic oceans.
Awesome.
Kirk,
love some new species. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What is the most horrifying thing you can think of that would be discovered in the ocean by Antarctica?
I don't know. I can go pretty. I can scared. Go. That's a little too broad of a question, Rachel. I can go pretty dark. I assume you mean what sort of new species of animal?
Yes.
Okay, because my mind went to all kinds of dark places that didn't involve new species of animals.
Right. Cthulhu would be one. Yes.
Something like that. So that'd probably be nicer than what I was thinking. So what would be like a horrifying? What was the word you used?
What would the most horrifying thing you could imagine to be discovered in southern oceans?
I got it, Rachel. I'm going to do a callback to one of our earliest episodes when we talked about the gob-faced squid, which was just the most terrifyingly awful, wrong-looking creature you can imagine. And then at the end, you revealed that it was only like an inch or two across or something, or like, oh, it's tiny. So in my mind, the most horrifying thing would be like something that looked like the gob-faced squid, but was larger than a human. That's what I'm going with. Like a squid with dentures that tries to devour you.
Oh, that's horrifying. Okay, well, it's definitely not that dark, but I do want you. I will say the article titles and everything, they're a little sensational, but
no,
gasp! But it is pretty exciting. So I sent you a picture, Kirk. You want to take a look at it?
Let me look. Oh, yikes!
What do you see in there?
A lot of tentacle-looking things that are also sort of feathery. Almost reminds me of a crinoid. If I don't know how many of our listeners know what a crinoid is. You know, prehistoric creature from 400 million years ago.
I will say,
anyways,
hilariously, this is a crinoid.
Yes! Boom, boom, boom.
You're such a nerd.
All right. I'm such a nerd. Well, it looks like the same crinoids that we had even here, under my feet where we're recording. When Minnesota and pretty much all of the interior of North America was covered by a shallow inland sea 450 million years ago or so, crinoids were very common. And this looks kind of like one, so it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So what you're looking at is a new species of feather star. They call it the common name for it is the Antarctic strawberry feather star. Scientific name.
I'm not sure where the strawberry comes from, but okay.
I'm not sure either. I think they're on something. Anyway,
I literally have. As soon as we're done recording, I'm having strawberry shortcake for dessert, and it's sitting here, and there are strawberries, and they look nothing like this. No. I'm going to describe this as like some sort of eldritch horror beast that comes to devour your brains while you sleep or something. That's what it looks like.
It kind of does. Yeah, I would agree. Not a strawberry. So the formal scientific name, Promacrocrinus fragarius.
Okay.
That was pretty good, actually. I'm really proud of myself.
Bravo. Bravo. It's okay. No one knows how to pronounce any, scientific names. So
absolutely not. It's a running joke at this point. So the strawberry feather star, I should say. Straw. It's not a straw. Although the arms do look like straws.
Oh, God, what sort of straws are you using, Rachel? No, they did. Oh my God.
I don't really use straws. Anyway.
It shows.
So, feather stars.
Not what straws look like.
This new species, it is a species with, and this is what all of the articles latched on to, it has 20 arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, and these arms and legs are long they look like feathers, hence a feather star.
Okay, yeah. No, that was my first reaction. Was sort of you've got a central vein, which looks a bit almost like a spine, if you will, because it's probably made out of those crinoid segments that they're kind of famous for. And then more sort of fractal-like, feathery, smaller little columns coming off it, so.
Right.
Gosh, now I'm picturing like a sculpture made out of all these like human spines that are like have smaller spines coming out of it. It's horrifying. We're not going to go there.
That's awful. That's terrible, Kirk. Why did your brain go there?
I had a night terror last night.
Oh,
it didn't involve this though. So luckily.
Well, maybe you'll have a new one and it'll involve this one.
Gosh, I hope not.
I hope not for you, dear Lord.
Yeah.
So this species, the Siri. So this particular picture, a lot of the Siri, which are like the feathery bits, have been removed so that way we can see more of the body. Generally speaking.
Oh, interesting.
Right? For at least this particular picture. But the main part of the body, like where a lot of the legs attach, I suppose.
Okay.
Is shaped, because I'm looking at a picture, it's like a zoomed in picture of the one I showed you, is a zoomed in picture, and it does have the general shape of a strawberry.
Oh, okay. Must be
it's
where that
just
comes from.
really small and and that is where the strawberry part comes from. These were all collected during expeditions between 2007 and 2018, and they just were identified and published this past week. So it's one of
formally
four
species. Scientifically written up as a species, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, in this picture, I don't realize that our listeners can't see this. So there's these 20 long feathery arms that come up, but then there's 40 little arms at the base that look like a really bad wig. Those are the legs. They look like a bad wig upside down stuck to the bottom. Those are the legs. Okay, gosh. So are these, you say legs, are they mobile? Like they can walk around?
So.
Or is leg just sort of used as a general
I think
term.
leg is used more as a general term. However, they still are able to be mobile. A lot of these particular species, so those pieces that you're looking at, those are like the legs-ish, but they're also that cirri, CIRRI, which I mentioned earlier.
Same type of structure as the upper part.
Same type of structure. And they are used more for some attachment to like coral reefs and things. However, in the Antarctic Ocean, there isn't much of,
right, not a lot of
attachment
coral reefs
for
in the
coral
Antarctic,
reefs.
Yeah. So like rocks and things, probably, right?
Definitely for rocks and things. These creatures are plankton eaters, and they have been found to have some different kinds of colorations and things too. So they have more purplish spots and dark red hues, which is very different from some of the other species that are more of like a yellow or a brown, which is wild.
Okay.
And they how they move around is they spread out those like arms, those really long limby looking things, and they just kind of wave them around, is my understanding.
They're a filter feeder, I assume. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Cool. That sounds. Awesome. I'm probably not going to dive down. Do you know how far down they were found?
So this particular species of feather star was actually found from anywhere from 330 to 3,300 feet deep. So
okay,
that's
wow, that's far down.
100 to 1,000 meters.
Right, total blackness down there. That's amazing.
Which is really, really cool. It's so funny because some of the articles do call it a Lovecraftian horror because of how it looks.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's when you said Cthulhu, you weren't. I was
not wrong because those feathery arms, they spread out. They aren't normally like all bunched together like they are in the picture that I'll share on social media as well. They're generally spread out, looking like a lily pad or like this spread out little like creature as it filter feeds around.
Wow. And thankfully there's not a big toothy mouth in the middle like the gob-faced squid.
There isn't, but one thing that I haven't mentioned it yet was the size, right? So it's not big. It's not
I wouldn't think it would be.
Big.
How big is it?
So the arms, those long bits, can be up to 8 inches long, which isn't
8 inches?
Small, but it's not 8 inches. Yeah, which is small, but isn't
that's about what I figured.
Either. Yeah, so the whole thing is about 20 centimeters. Is what they were saying, like the body itself. So it's not large, it's not huge, but it's not gob-faced squid small either.
Right.
So
very cool.
It's very fun.
I love a good crinoid.
New little crinoid, new little species that was just discovered. It's very exciting. They use DNA to actually figure out that it was a different species in the first place. I guess in the study they found 7 new species. No. They found 7 species and 4 were newly discovered. And then a bunch, and then 3 of them were misclassified. So, which is wild. So it's so fun that we get to use new technology to understand where everything sits in the world. It's very exciting.
So they had previously been misclassified and they reclassified them and said, no, they should be in this particular classification.
Yes.
Cool.
So they all thought that this particular one was one species. Yeah. The Antarctic strawberry feather star was actually thought to be a particularly, was a different shape, or not a different shape, a different species, but has now been reclassified, which is very fun.
Nice.
And science went, wow, this looks horrifying.
Yeah,
Let's name it
sure does.
strawberry. But that's what I have for
Way to
you
go,
all
science.
this week. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it'll be Kirk.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome back. You know, we are on the backside of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, and at least up here in the Northland, lawnmowers will swap into leaf blowers and rakes, and shortly after that, snow throwers and shovels, but let's not leave summer quite yet. When we think of summer, we may think of, yeah, right? I mean, I often think of like the feel of sand under our feet at the beach. The sight of little fluffy clouds floating along in an impossibly blue sky, or the smell of freshly mown grass. And smells,
screaming,
indeed, are a big part of summer. Mown grass, flowers, barbecue, especially this summer, Canadian wildfires. The smells of summer are almost as important as the heat and the rain. Though to be fair, even rain has a smell, but that's a topic I'm going to save for another day. I want to back up to the smell of fresh mowed grass.
Ooh,
it is.
I love this topic. Please go on.
I know. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, Rachel. It's a great smell. It smells fresh, and if you'll forgive my flowery language, full of fecundity. It evokes memories of like summers past and playing in yards and baseball fields and playgrounds as a child. And even if you don't think about that particular smell very often, I got to imagine if you were blindfolded and presented this smell, I'm guessing some really powerful memories would come flowing back from the depths of your mind. When it comes to smells from plants, we need to distinguish two different possibilities for why a smell exists. First off, it may just be an emergent property with no purpose. I was recently reading a story online about the smells of Disneyland. I don't even remember how I got on this, but how a lot of people have this huge
hole that you tend to be in.
Yeah, I went down some click hole and ended up there, but apparently people have this huge nostalgia for the smell of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And there's even like Pirates of the Caribbean ride scented candles. And people really wanted to know, like, what is that magical kind of musty smell and how did the Imagineers, create it? And it turns out it's just the smell of the bromine they put in the water to keep it clean. Like, that's it. They're nothing intentional. And the same goes for the Haunted Mansion. The magical smell of the Haunted Mansion, which is just burned into some people's brains. It's just the smell of a dusty old building combined with the particular grease they use on the doom buggies. So, anyhow.
Making me really excited for Disney World there, Kirk.
Yeah. Much like in those examples, like no one planned those smells. They don't serve a purpose. They're just an emergent property of all the parts that have come together, right? And this can be true of plants as well. Certain compounds are naturally going to have smells just because of the fact that they are, molecules and our nose can detect them. And hey, guess what? They might have a smell. And so that smell may be incidental to their purpose, right? It might not be any reason behind it. It may not serve any kind of purpose. Certainly, though, there are smells that plants purposely make as a signal. The smell of flowers, both good smelling and bad smelling ones, right, have evolved to attract insects. And smells that attract insects can also, I guess, start out as an accident. If insects come to recognize those smells and having insects around is beneficial, then the smells will get stronger as they get selected for through evolution. This is sort of a weird thing, though, because I would think in most cases, like in most non-pollinator plant type situations, plants don't really want to attract insects to them unless it's a pollinator, because insects are often not beneficial, right? They're often pests of plants.
They're going to eat the plant.
Exactly. Well, that kind of ties into what I want to talk about, because there was a study out of Texas A&M back in 2014 that demonstrated that the smell of fresh cut grass may actually be a cry for help.
I knew this is where you were going.
What they found was that when grass is cut, the smell it gives off actually calls in a protective army of wasps. That's right. The smell of fresh cut grass attracts wasps.
Whoa!
Now,
I didn't know that.
If you are, here's the deal. If you're thinking these wasps are meant to like drive off and sting the person mowing the lawn, no. That's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going on. These are not like paper wasps or yellow jackets or anything like that, or any of the wasps you'd be familiar with. These are parasitic wasps that eat other insects, or more specifically, lay their eggs inside other insects. And this relationship likely evolved millions of years before the invention of the lawnmower. So when insects, like a caterpillar, like I say, a caterpillar starts to chew on grasses, a smell is given off. And wasps know that smell of recently cut or chewed on grass means there are insects feeding on that grass. And so you got to imagine these wasps must be very sensitive to that smell. And they use it to key in. Well, right, because they're going to use that to key in on like which blade of grass was just eaten so they can attack an individual insect. So like you were kind of getting to, a whole yard of grass being mowed at once must give off so much smell that it would be just overwhelming to the wasps. They might well assume that they are about to encounter an enormous number of caterpillars feeding and then be utterly confused when they can't find the insects anywhere that ate off the top of every piece of grass as far as their little compound eyes can see. So when this came out, a lot of news outlets picked up on the story and talked about the idea of grass being able to communicate with the wasp. So this was an example of communication. And the researchers themselves even talk about this as a form of communication. And so we can argue, some people might think, well, no, that's not really communication. Plants don't have intelligence. The fact they give off a smell is just a quirk of evolution. They're not calling to the insects to come protect them. Rather, the insects are just attracted to the smell because they know it is correlated with caterpillars, and they want to lay their eggs inside the caterpillars, because remember, they are parasitic wasps.
Right.
And from an evolutionary perspective, the better the insects get at smelling that smell, the more they survive. And the better the plants are at making the smell, the more they attract the defending insects. And the better they survive, and then we get smellier and smellier plants, because the smellier ones are the ones that are more likely to survive, right? So clearly there is no planned intelligence here, but I feel like the same could kind of be said of human communication, especially, certain forms of human communication don't seem to have a lot of intelligence behind them. Evolution did not plan for humans to speak and use language. There's no plan for that to happen. Rather, it proved useful that these animals that could make sound were better able to survive. And so language was an emergent property of this process. And we can look at these examples of what plants can do and go, no, that isn't communication. That's just putting out a smell, and it happened to benefit the plant, right? But as I was thinking about this, I had to wonder, are we biased in our understanding of what communication is? And imagine, I'm going to pull this one out, like an alien species, comes down and visits Earth, but this alien species can communicate with each other through telepathy. Instant, 100% understanding of your thoughts beamed directly into someone else's brain. That would be obviously super amazing, but those aliens might look at humans and think, well, those humans aren't truly capable of communication. Man, sure, humans can make some sounds, and other humans can try to understand those sounds, but it's a cumbersome process with less than complete understanding. It's really just animals making sounds and trying to react to those sounds, because those who are better at making sounds and those who are better interpreting sounds tend to survive and breed. And so it's just a quirk of evolution that they make these sounds, and, it's not really communication though. So because there's never 100% understanding, you see what I'm saying here? Like, I'm having to use a lot of words because communication is difficult, but it is inherently about sending out a signal of some sort that will hopefully increase your chance of survival. I think that's one way to think about what communication is. Sending out some sort of signal to help you increase your chance of survival. And study after study has repeatedly shown that plants do indeed have their own forms of communication, and not just by smells. So there's other ways too. I think it is fair to say that grass is sending out a message to beneficial insects to come and save them. There's no intelligence behind that, but it's definitely there's a communication, there's a flow of information there. And it may not be a form of conscious communication with intelligence and thought behind it, but not all the communication I do is totally conscious and intelligent either. If you hear me after I stub my toe, I make all kinds of sounds, and there isn't much of a thought process to that communication or the string of sounds and expletives that come out of my mouth. But you'd still be able to figure out that something, dramatic had happened. So next time you smell that fresh mown grass, just take in that wonderful smell of millions of blades of grass screaming for help.
They're all going, help me, help me, help me.
Basically, yeah. That's one of the big smells of summer is screaming grass. My main source for this week was Science Daily, but I think it's just fascinating to think about all the communication that's going on out there with plants that maybe we're not even, aware of as being communication, even if we can detect it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Like you mentioned, are we biased? I absolutely think we're biased. Plants have been around for millions of years before we were even a thought on this planet.
Many. Yeah, plants have been around for a long time and had a lot of time to figure out how to survive.
It would be ridiculous. There's a better word that I can't think of, but I feel like it'd be very presumptuous of humans to think that we were the only ones to figure out some sort of communication when plants have been around for so much longer.
Well, I got news for you, Rachel.
Come up with some sort of form of communication.
Humans have been pretty presumptuous on this front for most of human history, assuming that plants didn't have any forms of communication. Only now, fairly recently, are we learning about all these many forms of communication, and we'll talk about many more on the show. I mean, when we had Vikram on from Planthropology,
he talked about crown shyness and things.
Crown shyness, which is, again, people are saying, hey, that's a form of communication between plants. So
absolutely,
so much cool stuff. So cool. But
so fun.
That's just what I wanted to talk about this week.
Thanks, Kirk.
Well, Rachel, thanks for joining me this week and
this is
sharing
fun.
Some strange side of nature. Awesome. Well, I will see you next week, and we'll see everyone else back here next week for more Strange by Nature.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.